You're an asshole. Hate coming here.
Why you act like such a dick?
War of the Worlds may be one of Spielberg's best films, and certainly one of my favorites. Its portrayal of a father-son relationship that is just openly resentful is cathartic, and its sense of urban and military realism is basically unmatched in the genre. We return to the insight we first noticed in Duel. The way to make your fantasy work is to make the realistic parts of the fantasy as realistic as you can. It's just brimming with unresolved horror at terrorism, the way the cityscape can instantly turn into a war zone. At its most intense, it's almost like a cross between Close Encounters and Saving Private Ryan, as weird as that sounds. The hidden point is, of course, that the people almost pose as much of a threat as the aliens. The scariest scene is the one in the car, and it powerfully expresses an intense fear of crowds in Spielberg, which we haven't really seen before. This, like AI and Minority Report before it, is as unlikely a thing as a science fiction film for grown-ups. With Munich, Spielberg's dark period culminates, and predictably it's another one of my top 5 favorite Spielbergs. I, of course, know nothing of its accuracy, but the writing is subtle, and Spielberg fills it with great location shooting. I wonder where Spielberg's final sympathies lie here. The brilliantly tense assassination sequences read to me like Spielberg finds it a bit too easy to imagine the stress he himself would feel under these circumstances. Question is what he thinks of his patriotic duty to partake in them. Avner doesn't exactly seem pro-Israel by the end of the movie, and I think the movie itself agrees with him. I at least have a hard time interpreting it any other way. At the same time, there is a fraternity among these Jews that Spielberg makes genuinely lovely, and maybe that tension accounts for the profound bitterness of the film. Spielberg's bitterest work, even worse than Schindler's List in some respects. Interestingly and worryingly, this bitterness takes on a sexual dimension. We return to the subject of sexuality in Spielberg. This is about as dark as it gets. The ending scene where Spielberg contrasts Avner attempting to have intercourse with his wife with the scenes of the Munich massacre intruding into his consciousness is provocative enough. But even more disturbing is the killing of the Dutch assassin, which contrasts the sexual and the violent even more obscenely. This is Spielberg's most pitch black imagery, and I really don't know how to interpret it. In the end, Avner's issue is also not being able to stop running.
I knew guys like you in the army. You do any terrifying thing you're asked to do, but you have to do it running. You think you can outrun your fears, your doubts. The only thing that really scares you guys is stillness.
Maybe Spielberg implies that there is too much obsessive running away in our sexuality as well, and he may well be right. But I cherish these lines delivered so beautifully by Ciarán Hinds. They remind me of something at least I regularly need to hear.